Can Cardano break its all-time high and maybe even surpass it? For me, the answer is yes, but I want to show you how I think Cardano by the end of the year in 2025 can get all the way up here to around the $6 range, effectively making a double on its old all-time high of around $3.10. If we want ADA to break its all-time high, how does it happen and what needs to happen in order to set these stones in place? Real quick, before we jump into the full analysis, in the description is my Crypto 100x blueprint, fully updated, fully awesome. Get it if you haven't already. It's 7 steps to 100x your portfolio the way that I'm doing it this cycle in 2025. Well, the first thing I think that needs to happen, regardless of price action, regardless of what ADA is doing, is Cardano needs to keep putting in the work and developing its chain. Now, we have a huge plum and hard fork that just went through, and basically this puts Cardano in the hands of the holders, like me and you and everyone watching this video. We are now the CEO of Cardano. We get to vote on stuff, we get to propose changes, and this is a massive step for Cardano. I think that the crypto industry is slowly starting to take notice of what Cardano was doing. Cardano was massively undervalued in 2024 and 2023, and today we are starting to see that action of people are saying, okay, decentralized governance is actually a big deal, and I think it's going to become a much bigger deal over the long term. I see this comparison of Cardano and Apple, where Apple had tough times in the beginning against Microsoft and IBM and other big giants, but focusing on the product and what the product delivers is always going to be beneficial. Cardano is very unique that it provides this decentralized product that is now fully governed by on-chain holders. It is a very massive step. Not only is that what's happening in 2025 for Cardano, but after that, Cardano is also scaling. This is one of the big issues people have had with Cardano for a very long time. And Cardano is effectively moving to kind of like a DAG structure with input endorsers with Ouroboros Paris and Ouroboros Laos. Effectively, Cardano is going to 10x throughput on the base layer or something absurd like that, and is going to grow the ability to push transactions through this blockchain, to push blocks, and to allow the nodes that run the chain to build blocks in between the 20-second mark, so that while they're sitting idle, they're still doing work and no node is sitting idle. Okay, so Cardano is doing massive stuff, right? It is effectively doing all of the right things. That is step number one for it to break its all-time high. Remember, last cycle in 2021, Cardano got smart contracts in like September or August, and that is when it punched in its all-time high right here around August of 2021 at $3. So a Cardano that just got smart contracts, has no DeFi, has no governance, has no scaling, is somehow worth $3, but today it is only worth $1 with a massive 3 or 4 year explosion of all of those. Make it make sense, right? And so in my opinion, we see all these great things happening for Cardano, and that is step one in the price cranking back to all-time high and even surpassing it, which is what I really think it does. The second big thing that I think needs to happen is we need this continued pattern we see here on the chart to just keep playing out. And it's going to be a little patient. It's going to be a little weird. We've been sitting around for a little bit, but remember, if you're like me, if you were around in 2023 and 2024, if you remember sitting around here in 2023, if you remember this decline in that 2024, summer, then this should be no big deal for you, right? You can see the pattern playing out exactly in 2019, 2020, and 2021 as it is today in 2023, 2024, and 2025. When I see this, I feel no need to worry. It's like looking at the Bitcoin logarithmic chart and saying, oh, well, every 4 years it does a cup and handle and dips, but it keeps going up. And that's what I see here in Cardano. I see this pattern continuously being followed, continuously going up. And so I think you can take the sweat off your back. You don't need to worry. Cardano's doing the right things right here. And if we go, the best thing I think you can do is go down into the daily chart, come in here and look at what's going on here today. This is the second biggest thing Cardano has going for it right now is this bullish pennant. Now, bullish pennants don't always break to the upside, but what Cardano's doing here with this bullish pennant is very similar to what it did last cycle in 2021, right before it really started to take off. And you can see that here. Cardano put in a nice bullish pennant, really rode it up to the bull market support band, and then really started to take off in mid 2021 to find that $3 high, to break its old all-time high of around $1, and then it leads us into where we are today. So I think the big thing that you should be watching if you're an ADA holder wanting Cardano to break its all-time high is this bullish pennant. Good things are coming for this, and I think right now Cardano is going to come back up touch the top, maybe at around $1.08. Maybe it'll come back again. And if it were to repeat what it did last cycle in 2021, early 2021, late 2022, it would do a double tap. Come up here, touch it about $1.07, $1.08, come down a little bit, touch it again at around $1.30, $1.20, something like that, and then really break to the upside and continue its path forward. If you are bullish on Cardano, if you want Cardano to break its all-time high, you want this bullish pennant to break upwards. In my opinion, there's a lot of reasons for it to break upwards. One, we got the Bitcoin cycle. The Bitcoin cycle is continuing just as it always has. I know there's a lot of speculation about an early cycle, an early top. Have we already topped? Are things different? In my opinion, probably not. Things are probably not different. They're usually not that different. And so, in my opinion, I think we expect the Bitcoin cycle to keep going, the altcoin cycle to really keep going, and that would make Cardano break upwards and continue upwards. Furthermore, Cardano's got some great support below it right now. Look at this. This previous higher high is holding as support. Bull market support bands rolling in just like it did last cycle. That is good support. And I think even if you take a large macro Fibonacci, you get some support as well. Let's go to the weekly chart and test it out real quick. Let's say if you take like this. Yeah, I mean, look at this Fibonacci rolling in right here, 786, another massive layer of support. So between around 70 cents and 80 cents, you have a massive layer for support for Cardano in case it doesn't break upwards out of this pennant. But in my opinion, I want to see a break upwards. That it would be the most bullish case scenario for Cardano to break all-time high in February or March or April, something very soon and very early in this year. Now, after those two things, the next thing I think is very important is asking, when might the federal government end its QT program? Also saying, when is quantitative easing going to start, where the United States starts adding assets to its balance sheet again? And I think this post by JP Morgan, posted in November 2024, very late last year, right around this time that we're in, this is what they said. They said that basically they're expecting quantitative easing to start in the first half of 2025. This section of the article is actually really important. It basically says that this RRP metric is a measure of excess liquidity, and that money in money market funds is more in supply than treasury bills in the open market. And so treasury collateral is provided at the Fed via the RPP. The federal government's balance sheet will continue shrinking if quantitative tightening continues, and the RRP is on its way to zero. Given this, a continuation of quantitative tightening could last another 3 months, but after that, most of the decline in liquidity is likely to be seen in falling bank reserves. Now, this is what JP Morgan thinks. When bank reserves fall below 10 to 11% of GDP, liquidity is scarce and causes volatility in the short term. 10 to 11% is right here at this gray line, and you can see where we are with this blue line today. This is the bank reserve GDP, and typically, based on what JP Morgan is saying, we would not want this to go below this 10% mark. So the government can keep quantitative tightening, which will bring this downwards and lower bank reserves. But at some point, the government needs to stop lowering bank reserves and flatten out and keep things the same, or add to their bank reserves in order to decrease that volatility in the market. The Fed is poised to end quantitative tightening sometime in the first half of 2025 once RRP drainage is complete. So that is the next biggest bullish indicator for Cardano and for all altcoins and all crypto and all risk assets, is if the government stops QT and starts QE, or just kind of switches their narrative. This is how we start to see more liquidity flood into the market. And I think it gives people a lot more reasons to be bullish on risk assets, bullish on crypto, and have more money in the game. If that were to happen in the first half of 2025, I think, February, March, April, May, something like that is what you should be looking at. Cardano could very easily replicate this move that it made. It made this move in, a mix of January, February, and March in 2021. And so if Cardano can replicate this move in February, March, April of 2025, we could very easily see it roll up here and match this trend line. Now, if you want Cardano to break its all-time high, the next thing you should be asking is, well, how high does it go? And I think we could very kind of realistically expect it to come up here into this trend line that we are seeing. Is because if Cardano, last cycle Cardano topped September of 2021, August of 2021, something in there. If it were to top at the same time in 2025, that would put Cardano right here around $7. You can see how aggressive of a move that would be over the summer. It would kind of mirror the move that we saw right here. And the big question is, how long does this pennant take? How long does quantitative easing take? How long do these things take? And I think that will determine whether Cardano tops in August right here at around 6 or 7, or something later, maybe October, November, December at around $7, something like that. But that is what I am personally targeting. There's still one last thing that can throw a kink in all of this, and that is you, my friend. From a personal to personal level, I think the last thing that you have to ask yourself if Cardano is going to break all-time high is, what kind of conviction do you have? What kind of patience do you have? What kind of timing do you have? Me and all the other people who make videos do the best that we can to provide a good analysis and a good reasoning and a good cycle theory and a good market theory and a good all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, we don't know how long Cardano is going to sit in this pennant. I mean, it looks like it's almost done. Maybe a couple more weeks, maybe in February, maybe early March. But the worst thing that you could do is not have enough patience, not have enough conviction, not have enough analysis in your own understanding, and then capitulate somewhere around here right before it just cranks on up. So the last piece of advice I would say is, can Cardano break all-time high? Yeah, I think it does. But it also comes down to you and your conviction and your willingness and your investment and what you personally think. Because everyone's portfolio is different. I don't believe in meme coins. You might believe in meme coins. You might believe in Solana. You might believe in Cardano. You might believe anything. But this is my honest analysis of what I think Cardano's got coming forward. I think it's doing great in 2025 so far. We're seeing a lot of Cardano leaders do a lot of things. Charles, Frederick Gregard, all of the people, all the content creators, Cardano is doing really well, I think, in my opinion. It's scaling. It's doing the updates it needs to do. The price action is where it needs to be. The DeFi projects are doing what they need to do, and I expect a lot out of this chain in 2025. I'm personally targeting a $5, $6, $7 ADA, and then Cardano native assets, I think, could 10x from there. So can Cardano break all-time high? I totally think so, given kind of the scenario of all these things coming together that we talked about. That's the video, though. If you're still watching, I'd appreciate a like, subscribe, drop a comment down below if you think Cardano's going up to all-time high. Where do you think it's going? $3, $5, $7, $10? Let me know. If you haven't gotten the Crypto 100x blueprint, it's in the description. And other than that, we'll see you in the next video for more Cardano content.